Hello and welcome to this week's HOTLCast. We are so glad that you have tuned in today to listen to this. I'm Matt.
I'm Cody.
I'm Ryan.
And Mark's here.
Yes.
Did you just refer to yourself in the third person?
Yeah,
He did. Yeah,
I did.
yeah.
Oh, goodness.
It's okay. We love you anyway,
I
Mark.
think I'm getting comfortable with the corner.
is feeling conflicted about fighting a small girl. I didn't know that we were allowed to speak in the third person.
I didn't know that we weren't.
Mr. T. So this week we had our Next Gen Level Up Sunday.
Yes.
And it was really cool. And we got a chance to kind of honor the kids as they go to the next phase. And I love it. Every year that we do the Next Gen Level Up, I think it's a cool event that I think we started doing it, 4 or 5 years ago? Carver, how many years ago was it that we started doing it? Probably 4 or 5.
I'm here too.
Yeah, Carver's here too.
Carver's
behind the camera.
Sorry, but it was I think maybe 5 years ago we started officially doing it, and it's been really good. It's just a great way for us to have an official. This is when you move up to the next grade. This is school starting. We get to be excited about what happened in the summer, but also we're ready for the fall. So this is just good
And celebrate the kids moving forward and growing and where they're at.
Yeah, absolutely. So.
And it gives them something at church that they're able to kind of be looking forward to. It's not just the idea of, okay, well, I'm moving into the next grade. It's more the idea of my church thinks that I'm interesting and the things that are happening in my life are important. And that is a foundational block that whenever they know that their church is interested in them and that they care about them and that they are investing in them, that allows them to recognize, hey, I don't just attend here. I'm an important part of what's happening at my church.
Yeah, absolutely. And when our families cheer, I love that. When they cheer for the kids on stage,
Yes.
even if the kids are shy, they love that. They love getting nobody. I was thinking about this. I don't think anybody doesn't like getting cheered for. Even if we act like, oh man, I don't, everybody loves getting cheered for, especially
I think that's fair.
Just for being you. It's such a great thing. So, and part of the strategy of why we spend so much time at our church doing things for students and for kids is because our church really has invested in the idea that our kids, our families, our students, that is a core, the heart of our church, to really invest in the generation that is taking the baton, so every phase of their life matters. And so we celebrate those phases in a way that lets parents have a chance to enjoy it and celebrate, but also, so we're kind of making sure that we're paying attention to as they age up and grow, and the church gets to grow with them, which I think is really cool.
And how cool was it to see InGen up there kind of doing their thing?
That was awesome.
Yeah, that's always cool.
Job,
that is one of my favorite parts of, popping in from time to time at the lodge to catch worship is being able to just kind of see them up there just doing it. They're there.
And it's cool because it's been different groups for over the last 6 years, we've had completely different groups over and over again. So it's just ever changing, amalgamation of students and, so it's just cool. It's cool when they start to get it.
Yeah. Cyle said that we're not going to be talking exactly about David dancing today for a number of reasons, but
he got a flag thrown on him in the middle of the sermon, which was awesome.
Well, 2 of the 3. So
I was I was envisioning, what if we just had a yellow flag anytime that we're in service, and we're just no.
I like the idea of a challenge flag better. Because,
I like that better. Wait, time out.
Hang on, what did you just say? Let's go to the replay. That'd be awesome.
Put it up on the screen.
I think the point is that David, really not about David dancing. It's really more about how David worshiped.
Yeah.
And how David worshiped and was not ashamed of how he worshiped and was unabashed about how he proclaimed his love for the Lord publicly. And when we talk about that, I think that's, I think that people want to be so nonchalant and chill about everything and act like they're not affected by things. I was talking to somebody just yesterday. I was having this conversation. How crappy it is to be a tough laugh. Why? What's the point of that? Oh, so you don't enjoy, why? Just laugh, have fun, enjoy life. And you just see people are nah, it's not that funny. I just don't get that. Life is here for us to joyfully enjoy the things that God has created. And as a byproduct, some of the things that we've created that are honoring to him, that are good. And just go and enjoy it. Why would you sit on your hands and not have fun? Just go go be part of life. And when you're having fun, like, give glory to God and watch it transform the people around you. Cause I think that's a great thing too for us. Like, when I think that we make more of a difference in the people's lives in our community when they watch us having fun, doing things that everybody else scoffs at, than when we go and stand on a soapbox and proclaim the gospel with a bullhorn. Like, I think it's more effective. So.
Well, this Sunday at Jackson, we had preached on worship. Like, that was the entire theme of the message. And I got to use what is probably one of my favorite Kyleisms of all of them. I said, we're going to be doing something a little bit different this morning, and I want to just remind you that Cyle has said multiple times that if you don't think church should be fun, you're going to hate heaven. Mm-hmm. And so the idea that I was talking about how music is important is we just got out of our HOTLCast series. So I had played some songs up on the screen that were, different themes to different movies and scores and stuff like that. It wasn't all John Williams, but it was, mostly. And I had people kind of, guessing, what movie that it came from and stuff like that. I said, if you don't think that music evokes emotion, you don't understand music, because that's exactly what it's designed to do. I said, with the movie E.T., if you take the score out of it, it's just a kid riding a bike with a rubber alien in front of a green screen. Like, there's no emotion to it. And then I pivoted from that to say, there's stuff that you've learned from music that you don't even realize that you've learned. And then I played different clips of songs, and I had them finish the lyrics. Mm-hmm. And I said, did you ever sit down and were you taught those lyrics? Were you ever, have somebody show you, well, this is what it says and this is what it says? Nobody did. Like, nobody had that as a thing. But it was fun to be able to bring those elements in, and the people were singing along, and it was engaged, and people were connected with it. And that's what church should be. That's what following Jesus should be. Mm-hmm. Is it always going to be fun and games? No. So when it can be, accept it and enjoy it, right?
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I really do agree. And I think too, like, the way that we process through life and the lens of fun that we, like, joyfulness and fun, the way that we process through that, it does make us different. The rest of the world is pretty bleak. I mean, look at the headlines of any news outlet. It's always about what's going wrong or how bad things are. And, like, you talk to a regular everyday person, that's not how they feel. Like, that's not, but they're being influenced by that all the time. And we should be countercultural in that regard so much. Like, we should be like, hey, it might be raining, but do you know what? God brought us the rain, and it's awesome. Like, you know what it's doing? Like, it's making our grass green, and it's making our flowers, bloom. And like that should be the way that we respond when people are sharing those things. Like, our response should always be positive, I feel like.
Yeah. I mean, we're called to choose joy. Mm-hmm. Like, that's an active thing. Like, cause I've been thinking about it a bunch. Like, you have emotions, you feel things that happen, but you choose what to do with it. Mm-hmm. And I think what happens is, like, when you have stuff like when you worry about all the things that are going on, it's easy to let that dictate what you choose to do, where you have to, like, learn how to separate the two. I think we as people have a hard time separating that out. And instead of, like, well, I did it because of that. I did that because of this. Like, well, if they wouldn't have done that, then I would. It was like, no, you made a decision, but it was based on an emotion you felt. Like, you're going to feel crummy. Things are going to be terrible. You're going to feel that. But then what you do next is what you have control over. You get to choose to stay in it. You get to choose to wallow in it, or you get to choose to move past it and see that God's still good, see that God has a plan, see that there's always going to be a way, see that there's always going to be something moving forward, that it's always working for God's good, God's glory, God's plan. And so, like, I know I'm trying to do really good at practicing that, where, like, when the emotion hits you, you go, like, wait, what's the wise thing to do with this emotion? What is the emotion doing for me? Because emotions are just responses. So that's the thing I've been thinking about and processing, and choosing joy, like choosing to enjoy stuff. Like, you can be like the mopey person at the party that's like, no, I'm not hanging out. I'm going to be grumpy here. Or you can be like, well, there's people here that love me and care about me. So I'm going to get past what I'm dealing with and spend time with these people. Yeah.
So, Ryan, you are maybe the both most joyous and optimistic person that I might know on the entire planet. Yeah. So I would love to hear your take on how you look at all of this and what your connection is with it.
Yeah, I mean, I mean, ditto, me too, Mark. Like what Mark said, I mean, that's how life is to me. I mean, things I do, I don't get hung up on yesterday. I can look back at yesterday and go, yep, this is where I could have done better, but I don't have time to sit around and hate myself for it. I can look towards the future and go, yep, I'm not the smartest guy in the room, but I can discern that tomorrow is not my problem. That is a God problem, and tomorrow's worries will be enough for tomorrow. Today's good enough. And so not getting too hung up on the past, getting too hung up on the future, and really, like Mark's saying, hey, I choose peace. I choose love. I choose life. And every opportunity, God throws things at me all the time, and I get the opportunity to either go, okay, what happened? And then I go, do I have to make up a story about this? And now if I'm in a position where I can't just be with what's happening and I can't go, yeah, like case in point, I've been up since 3 a.m. I got a sick kid at home. And so, yeah, so I've been up, I got a pretty good headache, but guess what? I feel pretty good. I'm pretty peaceful inside. Yeah. Why? Because I choose to. Could I be right, valid, and justified and be grumpy and make up a big, long story about brr, brr, brr? I'm sure I've done that. Yeah. And that always leaves me feeling unhappy and lonely and less than. And I don't show up as the best version of myself. And therefore I'm not showing up like Jesus, and I'm not getting closer to God. So I say all that to say, I choose to deal with what's happening. And when I can't be with what's happening and I got to have a story, then I decide if I'm going to give it a story, I might as well give it a good one. And then I make up a great old long story, which is still an illusion. It's still not real. It's still not the truth. Right. But it helps me find those emotions that help me lead me back to reality, and which is really just peace, right? Because the closer I am to God, the more peaceful I am, and the more peaceful I am, the more I can see what God has for me.
And well, that sets you up to make the wiser choices too. And instead of making a problem worse because now you're sulking in it and then you're just wallowing in it, you're moving beyond it. And I say it not because I'm good at it. Like you've worked hard to practice it.
I'm maybe batting 300. Like I'm still like if I'm baseball worthy, I'm still like a Hall of Famer at this, but I'm failing a lot more than I'm succeeding.
Yeah. So like that, just to say, it's not necessarily an easy thing to do, but it's an important thing to do. It's a thing to practice doing. Most of the best stuff you do are things that don't come naturally. Yeah, it's things that you have to work on and work towards. I'm
constantly asking myself, do you want to be right or do you want to be happy? Do you want to win or do you want to be do you want to dominate this thing or do you want to be happy? Like how ruthless are you willing to be with to protect your peace? And for me, I have to, because, well, hey, parts of me have struggled in life. Parts of me are a recovering addict. Parts of me have stuff. So I have to constantly manage my heart, that vigilance we talk about, right? I have to constantly think about where my heart's at, and I have to constantly think about what I'm bringing into my heart. So
yeah, because like you could have sat all day in the meeting today just being miserable and be like, right? I don't want to be here. I want to be. And instead, you're like, I'm here.
Yeah, so I'm like, I'm going to ask Cody if he's got any Motrin. I bet he's got some Motrin in his room. Mm-hmm. That's actually what I thought. And then I looked, and he already was in the podcast room. So I'm like, I'll ask him afterwards. I guess I'm kind of asking him now. There you go.
I got some for you.
And for me, I will be fully honest. I'm kind of a recovering pessimist. It's kind of the way I have to look at it.
I like that.
I kind of look at it, and I go through life, and it's so easy for me to look at everything and be, oh yeah, that's half empty. That's half empty. That's half empty. Or the way I, make up a story for it is, I look at it and say, well, the best indicator of future behavior is past behavior. That's not assuming the best. That's not kind of going through and giving people the benefit of the doubt. That's not doing any of those things that we should. I can still say, yes, I have joy in God, and I have joy for the things of my life and the things that he's blessed me with. I have all of those things. But then when I look at like the nuts and bolts of it, I kind of go, everything is black and white. So whenever somebody like Cyle, who is super optimistic, especially as things are getting really bad, just gets more and more optimistic, or even you, Mark, whenever you guys are going through stuff, Cody, you I kind of classify as a realist, because you are optimistic, but you also look at it and you're like, it could go the other way too, So whenever I look at it, like I try really hard to land in that realism side, to that be realist about everything. But it's hard for me because that's just the way that my brain has been wired for so very long, that you really have to put that effort in. You have to put in that time. You have to put in that ability to look at things and say, okay, yes, I could view the glass as half empty, or I could just look at it and say, it's not full. That's all I need to do. That is the mind shift that I have to personally take to go from this is a bad thing because it's half empty to let's be real, it's just not full. That can be a neutral situation. Doesn't have to be bad, doesn't have to be good. It's just the fact of it. And that, I believe, for me, is the first step toward being able to have that correct mindset regularly to look at things and be like, okay, this isn't a perfect scenario, but I know for a fact, because of what Paul says, that God's going to make a situation, even in its imperfections, be something that he can use for his glory. And I can be looking for that and say, yeah, it's half empty, or yeah, it's not full, or yeah, it's whatever. But if I'm looking at that and saying, but God's going to use that for something, and that's where my mind is, and that's where my heart is set toward, that then gives me the ability to kind of make that into something that is greater. Basically, like we've all probably gone through Habakkuk multiple times, where we look at, him saying, everything around me is terrible, everything around me is awful. God, how long are you going to let this happen? And God's like, just wait, you're about to see me do something. And that is the place where I can find my joy. I don't have to be looking for it in the situations and the circumstances, because those are going to always be ebbing and flowing one way or the other. But if I'm looking at the scenario and I'm like, okay, if God's going to do something, I'm just going to sit here and kind of watch for it. It doesn't matter whether the glass is full, empty, or otherwise. I can just look at it and say, God, you're going to do something incredible. That's what I'm here for. And I think that's a really cool way to go. If there are any other recovering pessimists that are, or current pessimists that are listening to this, try and make that your focus. That even if something looks bad, stop focusing on the bad and start focusing on what God's going to do with it.
I think too, like the thing that for me is I always go back to is, what has God already done? Like that has always helped me with my mindset. And I think the older I'm getting, not that I'm old, but the older I'm getting, the more I'm going, look at all the things that God has already come through on. And why would I be stressed about this one? Like I was stressed about those. Why did I need to stress? God took care of it. And like really at its core level, when we talk about how do you choose joy, like, well, I think some of the antithesis is right. Stress and worry, right? If we don't have peace, what do we have? We have stress, like, or chaos, right? If there's not peace, there's chaos. So there's something in battling in us. And when I do like a meditation, so like in the mornings, like Ryan actually encouraged me to start meditating, and I spend that time to kind of go over, okay, this is who am I? Who has God designed me to be? What has God already done? And like, how can my life today give him glory? I typically find my, and I think it's the Holy Spirit directing my thoughts back to all of the things that God has come through on, right? If we think about our human relationships, I mean, the truth is, if we go back, normally we can think of all the ways that somebody's failed us. But with God, that's just not how it works. Like you go back to all the things that God has already done. And then what that does for perspective when it comes to people and allows me to choose joy and choose peace, and is that like, I realize that people aren't the enemy and their shortcomings aren't even the enemy, that sin is the enemy, and sin affects us all in different ways. And then that in that realm, like I have a lot of grace because I don't care. People mess up all the time. Like they do things all the time in my life that affect me, that hurt me, like, but so don't I. And so that perspective kind of levels a playing field for where I go, okay, we're all figuring this out. Like if I can be quick to apologize, if I can be quick to forgive, those are the two things. Like if I can seek forgiveness quickly and give forgiveness quickly, then I keep myself at a place where I'm lighter. I feel like you're lighter from an emotional, spiritual, mental perspective. And then you're also at a place where you go, okay, like I'm going to keep, this is going to happen again. So like I can't, every time it happens, I can't spiral out of control. Like I have to choose joy. I have to choose peace. And even when things are wrong, even when somebody has wronged me or I've wronged somebody else, being in that place where I go, okay, God has already sorted these things. Like God is going to sort them again. And it gives me this change of perspective that lets me be at that place. Cause I like what you're saying of like, the glass is just not full. It's like, but the perspective of, well, a year ago, I didn't even have a glass is really helpful, right? Yep. Like, cause you go, yeah, it's not full, but this is what I got now. And gosh, look what God's done, because we don't always think of it in terms of that, because those scenarios or those like limericks are very easy and quick for us to throw out there.
Sure.
But like, I think of all those stories from a 3-dimensional perspective of like, oh, okay. Like, but what, the glass is half empty, but it used to be completely empty. Yeah. How do you navigate that? So, because everybody's in progress and everybody is in a process of trying to figure out how their life, for us as followers of Christ, at least we should be at a place where we're constantly evaluating and trying to figure out who God is trying to design us to be and who God is directing us to be, and adjusting, amending, and changing who we are to fit that, not to fit what we were, right? Throw off the old self. That's what Scripture says. Throw out the old self, right? And cling to what is new, like our new selves. So I think that's really important in perspective. So when we talk about David, we talk about why does this all, the Kyle's, what does this mean for us? Like, what does this mean for you? What does it mean for me? I think it really comes down to our perspective, right, of God's bigness and consistency in our life should always lead us back to a place of peace. And peace is a great launch pad for joy.
I agree. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I'm with you, man. I mean, really, what we're talking about is discernment. I mean, just like what Kyle talked about on Sunday, talking about choosing God's plan. But I think we all want to choose God's plan. I just don't think we're smart enough to see it, and we often think we do. And kind of like what I hear we're talking about is this illusion of following God's plan, but really we often find out when we have these times where it feels like setbacks, it's really just us finding out that it was our plan. And we go, oh, that was no, I have an idle wish. Like, God, this is your plan. And I know it. And I've been following. God goes, nope, that's not it. And then we go, oh, I was wrong. I wanted to be in, and for whatever reason, we don't just hurry up and go, oh, sorry, God, let's course correct. We go, nope, I'm going to double down on being wrong. And I'm going to try to push this boulder uphill only to eventually God, the current sweeps us back to where we need to be,
right. I think about that sometimes. Like, what if winning the lotto is the worst thing that could ever happen to you? Right. Like, right. Yeah. What if that thing that you really, man, God, I want this so bad. Right. Or this is how I want this scenario to play out. What if that's the absolute worst thing for you? And because you're this far away from the Mona Lisa, you can't see the full picture. Right. Like that's the whole, like that perspective thing.
I think that's one of those things my wife simultaneously loves about me and hates about me, that I'm always looking at, like, wow, what, like being open to the possibility. Right. And like, what if this was it? But also this could all stop tomorrow and we could do this, or maybe this could all end tomorrow and we could do this. And I think she loves it, but she's also like,
I do the same thing. I do the same thing with Bethany. I like playing through scenarios of like, what if? And she hates it. She's like, why are we talking about this? Is crazy. I'm like, well, I'm just thinking, like, could we choose joy in this scenario? Like,
we have a dead deer in our yard. How can we find joy in this?
Right. Like, like, well, how do we navigate this? And it's like, I love it. I love these, like, and I like the students, I'll play through randoms. We're at Cedar Point. I'm asking all these random scenarios all day, and they're all just, they're like, oh man, why do you think about that? I'm like, it's just how my brain works. Like, I think about how crazy would it get before I would go, man, I can't choose joy. And it's like, there shouldn't be a scenario that I shouldn't be able to choose joy in. So I try to think about it before it happens, because then I'm not shocked by it. I'm not like, oh man, that's crazy.
Yeah. Well, it's those short course corrections, right? Like, because you're always looking. I don't know about you, but me, I don't always catch it before. It's, often it's after the fact, but these days I can catch myself long before I hit the weeds, and I think that's that's where that.
But I think that's I think that's from the birth of Christianity itself and following Jesus. We've always been reactionary. Like the disciples weren't sitting at the tomb going 3, 2, 1. Okay. Like they missed it. Right. And then when Jesus came back, they still didn't get it. And then it's because you're always going to catch a problem too late. And that's the whole point of grace. It's like, you're never going to catch them all up front. So it's not Pokemon, right? Like you gotta just be okay with the fact that like you're gonna miss things. Like, and I know there's people that out there who are perfectionists. They hate that. They hate the idea of missing anything. But guess what? Sorry, you're gonna miss stuff, and like you're gonna hurt people, and because that's what we do, because that's what sin does in our lives, and you got to navigate that, and you got to choose to be present. You got to choose to have perspective, and you got to choose joy, and you got to choose peace, and like it's just. I mean, that's the nature of who we are. Like. So, I mean, I think it's great. I think grace is the best thing for us ever. I don't think that's a controversial take. I think that's what Scripture tells us, right? Yeah. Grace is the best thing for us. We just sometimes don't like taking it. We don't like accepting grace. So
I also think it's important that sometimes we all collectively do fall down. Because if you are a person who's constantly getting it right, like you are that perfectionist where I haven't dropped this ball, I haven't dropped that ball. When you have that moment of failure where you end up looking at it and you're like, I just let down all these different people, I just had this thing happen, I just had this thing come up. Then when you start recognizing that moment and say, okay, so I failed here, I really want them all to forgive me, then you should start taking that opportunity to say, oh, that's the same level of forgiveness that I should be giving the other people whenever they drop something or when they fall down or whenever they let something slip. Like that is critically important. Like failure matters. Like no joke. It is really important. Like there was one time I was watching this sports movie. I forget what it was, but you know, one of the coaches had said to this like elder or whatever, this like big, you know, sports guy, he's like, you know, I wish that the team hadn't tied because you can learn a whole lot more from a loss than a tie. And I'm like, that's actually incredible because it's true. Like we can learn from failure if we just take the time and look at it and investigate and say, okay, this happened. But let's not look at it from the perspective of how can I fix the problem. Let's look at it from the perspective of how did other people respond to me? What did that look like? And how can I extend that same level of grace right back to them whenever they have something similar happen? And that matters. That is super important.
Yep. Yeah. So, I mean, how can you let God interrupt your plans today? I've been loving that phrase.
Yeah, I have too.
I think like when we start talking about this stuff, it's really important. So, yeah, how can you let God interrupt your plans today, and how can you work through it and work to glorify and honor Him more? So, well, until next time, this has been the HOTLCast, and thanks for joining us.